How you doing today, friends, family, Facebook, YouTube? This is Ivan with Church of Christ, One Nation, One Power, back again on the Sabbath day with another lesson. And today's lesson will be entitled, Men That Seek Out the Fallen Ones. Men That Seek Out the Fallen Ones. It's going to be our title today. Before I begin, I want to give thanks to the Most High, Ahaya, His Son, Yeshua HaMashiach, and also the Ruach HaKodesh. And I ask the Most High that He today blesses this lesson. All right? With that being said, I want to begin in Daniel chapter 4. Salakia, Daniel chapter 12, verses 4. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. That's our scripture for today. In the last days, knowledge will be increased. Today we're going to be in the Book of Enoch. You will need that. You will need the sealed Book of Mormon. You can use the sealed portion of the Brother of Jared. If you don't have that, you can also get the Book of Remembrance. Okay? The Book of Remembrance. Now, if you got the Bible, go to Malachi chapter 3, verse 16. Then they that reverend and loved the Lord spake often one to another, and the Lord hearkened and heard it. And in his presence a book of remembrance was written for them that reverenced the Lord and that thought upon his name. So the Bible tells you to get another book, and that book is called the Book of Remembrance. And that is Malachi chapter 3, verse 16. Book of Remembrance, the first and second book of Aki. Now, let me start today in Enoch chapter 6, and we're going to read verses 1 through 6, and then we're going to go to chapter 7 and read verse number 1. Enoch chapter 6, verse 1. And it came to pass, when the children of men had multiplied, that in those days were born unto them beautiful and comely daughters. And the angels, the children of the heaven, saw and lusted after them, and said to one another, Come, let us choose us wives from among the children of men, and beget us children. And Simjaza, now this is Satan right here, okay, who was their leader, said unto them, I fear ye will not indeed agree to do this deed, and I alone shall have to pay the penalty of a great sin. And they all answered him and said, Let us all swear an oath, and all bind ourselves by mutual imprecautions, not to abandon this plan, but to do this thing. Then swore they all together, and bound themselves by mutual in precautions upon it. And they were all Salakia, and they were in all 200 who descended in the days of Jared on the summit of Mount Hermon. And they called it Mount Hermon because they had sworn and bound themselves by mutual in precautions upon it. Now let's drop down to verse 7, verse 1. And all the others together with them took unto themselves wives. Now, the angels, the fallen angels, they took wives here on earth. And each chose for himself one, and they began to go into them, and to defile themselves with them. And they taught them charms, and enchantments, and the cutting of roots, and made them acquainted with plants. and they became pregnant, and they bore great giants. Now, these angels, the fallen angels, they taught these women charms, enchantments, and cutting of roots, and made them very well acquainted with the plants, okay? Now, this is Enoch chapter 6, 1 through 6, and also Enoch chapter 7, verses 1. Now, what the angels taught the women is how to heat up plants and take the oil base of those plants, and you can do some things with it, okay? You can do voodoo with it, or you can make medicine with it, okay? It's kind of like marijuana. You can smoke it, or you can heat it up and take the oil from it, and you can turn it into a lotion and apply it to your wounds. So you can use it for good, and you can also use it for evil, okay? Now this was Enoch. We're done with this book here. Book number 2. I'm going to be in the sealed portion of the brother of Jared. I'm going to be in chapter 13, and I'm going to read verses 13 through 24. Okay? First Arki chapter 13. I want to show y'all something before I even read it. See, it says age right there. I believe it's 413, if I'm not mistaken. 412, I'm sorry. It says age. Pay attention to that, okay? Pay attention to that. We're going to get to that. First Arki chapter 13, and we're going to start at verse number 13. And it came to pass that when Shemahaza, that's the devil, saw that he could not destroy his witness, the first great council of the second war in heaven was called by Shemahaza to determine how evil should proceed in the face of the prospect of Shabbat. Now, what is Shabbat? Let's go to page 524. Salak, it's going to be page 529. Covenant of Melchizedek, which is called Shabbat. So anytime you hear me say Shabbat, it means the covenant of Melchizedek. So let's go back to chapter 13. Let's start over. And it came to pass that when Shemahaza saw that he could not destroy his witness, the first great council of the second war in heaven was called by Shemahaza to determine how evil should proceed in the face of the prospect of Shabbat, which means the covenant of Melchizedek, okay? And all the host of the Kedarchi would be the fallen ones, assembled with their filth upon Mount Hermon. Now, remember in the book of Enoch, the fallen ones and also Satan, they made an oath on Mount Hermon, okay? And their spirits swept upon the holy place of Shem, and they plotted and planned and bound themselves together with oaths. And it was agreed upon that once again they would assert their lying visions upon the children of men, and they set out with firm determination that they would rise to dominance, like unto that which they enjoyed before the flood and Shabbat. Remember the covenant of Melchizedek, verse 14. And it came to pass that in this great council of war, that the Kedarchi, the fallen angels, decided that they would offer themselves to become the element and the substance of provision, to provide comfort and pleasure unto all the children of men. And this great council happened 1864 years after the birth of Messiah. And they determined that they would make the children of the earth rich, and that they would be clothed about with much glory. And they found no resistance to meet them. Pay attention to verse number 16. And it came to pass that they left their counsel on Hermon, and the Kedarchi began to call upon all the wicked everywhere on the earth. And they whispered unto the ears all their lying visions, and the wicked paid them heed. And men from every nation and land and country began to seek out the Kedarchi with great diligence. So the wicked men from every nation, every land, and country began to seek out the fallen angels with great diligence, and men were made rich by them, and they gathered their substance in great abundance. Let's stop right there. Okay? I had to go online and I typed in the 10 richest people in the United States. I want y'all to focus on verse number 3. Y'all got that name, Bill Gates, right there? He's the co-founder of Microsoft, all right? Now, he's supposed to be a computer geek. Why he ready to give y'all a shot, a COVID-19 shot? If he's a computer geek, how does he got the cure for COVID-19? What is he doing? Let's repeat verse 16 and let's see what Bill Gates is doing, okay? And it came to pass that they left their counsel on Hermon, and the Kedarchi began to call upon all the wicked everywhere on the earth. And they whispered unto the ears all their lying visions, and the wicked paid them heed. And the wicked paid them heed. And men from every nation, and land and country began to seek out the Kedarchi with great diligence, and men were made rich by them, and they gathered their substance in great abundance. And it came to pass that the wicked began to craft all manner of devices. Now, let's stop right there. Let's get the definition of craft real quick, okay? Let's get the definition of craft. Pay attention to these definitions I'm going to read to you guys, all right? Definition of craft: an activity involving skill in making things by hand. Number 2, skill used in deceiving others. Number 3, exercise skills in making something. Okay? Pay attention to these scriptures, all right? And it came to pass that the wicked began to craft all manner of devices out of the element of the Kedarchi which they collected. Now, we got to stop again, okay? Let's get the definition of element. Definition of element. Number 1, a part or aspect of something abstracted, especially one that is essential or characteristic. Remember, the fallen ones taught the women how to extract things from plants, okay? Let's go to definition number 2. Each or more than 100 substances that cannot be chemically interconverted are broken down into simpler substances and are primarily the matter. Each element is by its atomic number, the number of protons in the nuclei of its atoms. Now, what you're reading about is a bomb, like the atomic bomb, okay? Now, the fallen angels, if you find them, they'll tell you how to do things, like make a bomb or medicine or whatever. But in return, these fallen angels, they want you to kill God's creation. You'll be rich, but you have to do a blood sacrifice, which means you're going to have to kill millions and millions and billions of people, okay? Now, with the use of the atomic bomb, nuclear bomb, it was used in Japan one time. It killed a lot of people. Missiles kills a lot of people whenever you go to war, okay? Those are blood sacrifices. Anytime any country goes to war and they use those missiles, the knowledge from the fallen angels is meant to kill. So each time a bomb falls down, it's a blood sacrifice, okay? Remember, I showed you the picture of AIDS or HIV in this book, and I told you guys to pay attention. Well, basically, you could become a mad scientist, and you can go into a lab and you can make something and create something to kill a bunch of people. You can create AIDS in a lab, and you can put it into a syringe and give it to people, and over time, these people would die, okay? Now, like I said, these fallen angels, they will make you rich, but at the same time, you need to do a blood sacrifice, which means a lot of people will die, all right? Let's start over at verse number 17. I talk too much. And it came to pass that the wicked began to craft all manner of devices out of the element of the decadarchy which they collected. And there began to be assembled in the lives of men a great host of contrivances. A great host of contrivances. Now, let's get that definition of contrivances, okay? The use of skill to bring something about or create something. Number 2, a thing which is salakia, a thing which is created skillfully and inventively to serve a particular purpose, okay? Now, you see I kind of highlighted right here a device, a gadget, or a machine, and I wrote on the side a nuclear bomb, okay? Now, these fallen angels is telling men what to do and how to do it, how to make it, and at the same time, these men are going to become rich in doing what they do, and they also have to do a blood sacrifice, whatever knowledge these fallen ones tell them, okay? Now, verse 17, let's start over again. And it came to pass that the wicked began to craft all manner of devices out of the element of the decadarchy which they collected. And there began to be assembled in the lives of men a great host of contrivances that had power to support the lying visions of Simhaza and his band. And they brought comfort and pleasure, and they made the children of men strangers to the Erkadarchi. Now these are the good angels, okay? And in this way, the effect upon the Erkadishi by Shabbat, which brought to no effect among the wicked. Verse 18. And thus did the affairs of the war endure and increase for the space of 120 years. And the contrivances of the decadarchy multiplied and grew and increased the abundance. And great pollutions came upon the earth and creation by the way of multitude of the substance of the decadarchy. Verse 19. And it came to pass that all the wicked greatly sought after the comfort and pleasures with the urgency of one who was possessed with demons. And the children cried, and Messiah groaned within his soul, and his burden was hard upon him, even after the same manner as it was seen in the night vision of Noah. And the war waxed great in the lives of men. Verse 20. And it came to pass that as the time began to mature towards the reestablishment of Shabbat, remember that's the covenant of Melchizedek, okay? That records from Sikaka burst forth and began to speak out of the dust. And they began to whisper of Shabbat unto the ears of Goker Haran III. And he was taught by the hand of God in all the words of Isaiah concerning the wickedness of the kingdom of Shemahazah. And he carried the witness of Joseph to the people. But all the host of the Decadarchi reaffirmed their intentions to rise to dominance in the lives of all men upon the earth. Verse 21. And the war increased in the earth, and it came in hard against the people of the Lord. And as long as the people of the Lord remained to walk in every way of the people, Shemahazah could find them and fight against them. But it came to pass that the people of the Lord chose to walk no more in the way of the people, and Shemahazah used every means at his disposal to destroy the people of the Lord who could declare Shabbat. So Satan right now, he's trying not to let the order of Melchizedek come into the earth. He's trying to destroy this Melchizedek priesthood, okay? Verse 23. And it came to pass that in the days of Gomer Haran III, that the Ikadarchi, the good angels, and all their bands rose up in defiance of evil. And they declared by Shabbat that their dear one is worthy. And the hand of Messiah began to intervene in the lives of men, and with all the multitudes of the peoples of the nations. And Messiah began to make great declarations concerning the wickedness of men. And the power of his declarations uncovered the lying visions of Shemahazah before the eyes of all men. And they began to see plainly the truth that their pleasure and comforts brought sickness. You see it says age right there? The sickness is talking about AIDS, HIV, COVID-19, any sickness on the land, okay? And division and death, and they repented not for their wickedness. So the reason why we got all these sicknesses and division and death on the earth is because everybody's in sin right now, okay? And no one's repenting. Everybody's believing in medicine coming from the fallen angels. Remember, men is getting rich off the knowledge of the fallen angels, okay? So each time you go to the store and you buy some medicine, you best believe that a fallen angel told a man about it, and he's getting rich. He ain't trying to cure it. He's just getting rich. He got you coming back to buy more medicine, okay? And they began to see plainly the truth of their pleasure and comforts brought sickness and division and death, but they repented not of their wickedness. And the ears of all the Erkodashi were open to hear the declarations of Messiah, and they groaned and shook and gushed forth in their sorrow at the plans of Messiah, and in their great embarrassment to see laid bare the lying visions of the Kedarchi, the fallen angels, okay? And it came to pass that in those days there were men upon the earth who held great riches and power, who determined that the kingdom that made them rich should not pass from before their eyes. Now, all these rich men around the world, they don't want this kingdom, this nation to fall. But guess what? The Israelites are waking up, and they don't want us to wake up, because we are to teach this book in the last days. Ephraim, the tribe of Ephraim, is to preach the word for the last 3 years of the earth. All right? And they thrust themselves into the war on the side of Shemahazah, and they set their hand to the task of the oppression. Now, what we're talking about is the mark of the beast. And because of this, the war in heaven again increased. Now, let's stop right there. I'm done. Let's go to the seal portion of Mormon. And we're going to go to chapter 4, verse 52. The Seal Book of Mormon. What did I say? The seal portion? I'm sorry. The Seal Book of Mormon. The Seal Book of Mormon, chapter 4, and we're going to be at verse number 52, which is page 69. Our last verse for the day. I'm at 25 minutes in. And now, with the purpose of the people of the covenant to no longer be deceived. Now, who are the people of the covenant? Let's go to Hebrews chapter 8, verse 8 through 10. For finding fault with them, he said, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, when I will make a new covenant. When I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. These will be the covenant people here, okay? Not your church. Not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day when I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt. Was your church land out of the land of Egypt? You Pentecostals, you Jehovah's Witnesses, you Seventh-day Adventists, was it your church? No, it was the children of Israel and Judah. Because they continued not in my covenant, and I regarded them not, saith the Lord. For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel. After those days, saith the Lord, I will put my laws into their mind and write them in their hearts, and I will be to them a God, and I will be to them a God, and they shall be to me a people. Who? The house of Israel and the house of Judah, not your church buildings. Okay? Now, let's get back to the Seal Book of Mormon, chapter 4, verse 52. I'm almost done. And now, with the purpose of the people of the covenant to no longer be deceived, which you just found out is the house of Judah and the house of Israel, when in the last days, we are living in the last days, house of Judah and the house of Israel, yea, before you, Enoch, return with your city to this land. The watchers, the fallen angels, who were driven out into the venticity of earth, Salakia, will send signs to the children of men with the promise of ending their disease. So the fallen angels are going to send signs of promising to end the disease here on earth. AIDS, HIV, the coronavirus. Matter of fact, look at this. Read that. Researchers warn of heightened risk of HIV with certain COVID-19 vaccinations, which means you can go and get a COVID shot and you can catch AIDS. Did you know that? But your pastors are telling y'all to go and get this shot. And this shot is coming from the fallen angels. The rich men then went to them, got some knowledge, came back and making money off of it. And y'all don't know that. You don't know it. And your pastors is going out there telling y'all to take a shot. And your pastors never read the whole entire Bible. Matter of fact, the Book of Remembrance. The Bible tells you to open up another book, and it's called the Book of Remembrance. You see, in the last days, the children of Israel, the tribe of Ephraim, is going to be preaching in the last 3 years. And that's what we're doing right now. We're warning the world. But you got people out there telling y'all to take a shot. Don't do it. It's coming from the fallen angels. And it's a blood sacrifice. Now, I got some people in my family, they already took the shot, like my father and my grandmother. And they don't know that it's a blood sacrifice. Satan. I can't help them. They took it, okay? I can't help them. Let's start over at verse number 52. And now, with the purpose of the people of the covenant, the children of Israel, to no longer be deceived, when in the last days, yea, before you, Enoch, return with your city to this land, the watchers, the fallen angels, who were driven out to the immensity of earth, will send signs to the children of men with the promise of ending their diseases, their religions, and their false prophets, and the scriptures of their false message will provide them with an alliance, and thus with the support of Satan, the ruler of the world. They will again come to be among you at the invitation of the rulers of the earth, and gradually they will enslave the sons of men again. The fallen angels are here. They are here. Okay? Now, I got some time left. Let's go back in the book. Let's go back into the sealed portion. Because the sealed Book of Mormon tells us that the fallen angels will return. Okay? Now, let's go back. Let's go back to 1 Aki chapter 13. And we're going to read verse number 16. And it came to pass that they left their counsel on Hermon, and the Decredarchy began to call upon all the wicked everywhere in the earth, and they whispered in their ears all their lying visions, and the wicked paid them heed, and men from every nation and land and country began to seek out the fallen angels with great diligence, and men were made rich by them, and they gathered their substance in great abundance. There you go. There you have it. The fallen angels are here again, and you got wicked men communicating with them because they want to be rich. Okay? Well, this was our Sabbath day lesson today. Men that seek out the fallen ones. All right? Hopefully you enjoyed this lesson today here on the Sabbath day. And I'm sorry I couldn't do this last night. I had a real bad headache. I had to rest a little bit. And hopefully you guys can see me because it's daytime outside right now. My kids is up. I haven't heard them yet, but I know they're up. Well, you guys take care. All right? I love you guys, both Jews and Gentiles. And also, stay away from the jab. Don't take that shot. It's coming from the fallen ones. But your pastors at your church ain't going to tell you that. All right? You Christians, goodbye.